guys, and welcome back to our channel. Today we had a free Sunday afternoon, and there is a city nearby that a lot of people have told us there's a lot of really cool stuff to discover and a lot of really neat history. And so we decided that it would be a perfect afternoon to come and discover a city that we had never heard of until we moved to Germany. And so we have driven over here, and we're going to walk around and see what kind of history we can find, what kind of maybe hidden gems that we could recommend to people who come and visit Germany. And so today we have driven to Mainz, Germany.
So our plan for today is first to go have lunch at a restaurant that I saw used to be an old church and that they've converted into a beer garden / restaurant. So that looked really cool from the pictures online. And then we are going to go to the Mainz Cathedral and go check that out and see what it's all about. And then also, Mainz is supposed to be the home of Johannes Gutenberg, who created the printing press. So I think there's a lot of history around here about him and about the printing press. So we're going to try to find while we're here.
One of the most important historical sites here in Mainz is St. Christopher's Church, and we just walked through it a little bit, and it's left here standing in ruins, which is really interesting whenever you're walking through this beautiful city and all these buildings built all around it, and you see this one structure that's completely just in ruins. And normally when you see these churches, you think they would renovate it, or they would try to build it again to where it fits in with the rest of the landscape. But this one was actually left completely destroyed because it was destroyed in the Second World War, and this whole area was flattened. And this church was left as a memorial to the bombing victims during the Second World War here in Mainz. So once you go inside of the church, you see a lot of important historical information and also a lot of plaques that explain the history of the church, but also through the history of the war and the reasons why we end up with World War II, and also what happened to lead to this area being bombed and what specific days it happened on and all of that kind of information. Some of the first records show that there was a church or at least a chapel here in the 800s. So this is a very, very old historical site. And this is also a really historical site because supposedly this is where Gutenberg was baptized. So we just got done with our lunch at the Geist. There's a really, really cool building and a really neat atmosphere on the inside. So we learned that it wasn't actually ever a church. On the inside of the menu, they had the history printed. And they talked about how the building was built in the 1200s as a hospital. And then throughout history, it's been multi-different purposes. And then in the war, it was destroyed and they had to, or the roof was destroyed. And they repurposed it again as a dance hall in the 50s. And then now it is currently a restaurant and also a venue for different events. But it's a really cool place. Definitely recommend checking it out. Really neat atmosphere, like I said. And the food was pretty good.
I thought the food was great. And one thing that we really wanted to try here is spoon de Käse, which is like almost like a cheese dip. It has pork, cheese, spices, and then they served it with pretzels that you dip into it, and it was really good. That was awesome. And I read online that it pairs really well with a Riesling, so I tried that, and it was great. And another fun fact about that is that we've seen a lot of different things online that say that Mainz is the wine capital of Germany.
And the spoon de Käse is also a specialty of Mainz specifically, and that's why we had to try that when we got it. And we have so many pretzels we're taking home. We didn't have any more spoon de Käse, but we're taking home a bag full of those tiny pretzels. But yeah, definitely worth checking out. A little bit expensive, but I think worth it for the atmosphere. And also, if you ever have the chance to go to an event there, I'm sure that is spectacular.
Mainz is the birthplace and home of Johannes Gutenberg, and so right here they have a museum dedicated to his life and history all about the printing press that he invented. I also heard that there are a couple copies of the original Bibles that he printed here in the museum. And also what's really cool about this is right next to it is the Mainzer Dome. The Mainzer Dome is a cathedral because it has the seat of a bishop. This cathedral was founded in the 900s AD, so very old cathedral. And something that's really interesting about this one is that you enter through the sides and not necessarily the front or the back like a lot of other cathedrals. And it's surrounded by shops. A lot of places have shops kind of past a square, but this one, the shops are almost part of the building as well, and there's shops just surrounding it. To me, the walls and the structure of the actual cathedral inside were rather plain. They were made of stone, big square blocks, but as you look around the cathedral a lot more on the inside, there's really beautifully carved stone marble carvings. They were very intricate. There was lots of like fabric that was very, very detailed, which I think would be very hard to carve. Can't even imagine that. So that was really beautiful. There was also a lot of contemporary stained glass that was really unique and I thought really interesting. Up high on the walls, there were these beautiful paintings all around near the ceiling. And unfortunately, there was a lot of construction going on inside, so we didn't get to see everything that was going on inside the cathedral, but really beautiful pieces and imagery and pictures and carvings all throughout.
So like we had mentioned earlier, we really didn't know anything about Mainz before moving here, and a lot of people just told us that we should come check it out because there's a lot of really neat history. And they are definitely right. Walking all around the city, you come across really cool plaques and signs all over the city explaining the important history of each section of the city. And so all along these buildings and walls, you have these plaques that unfortunately are all in German. So if you don't read German, you're not really going to get a lot of information from them unless you have Google Translate or something available. But there's all these really cool plaques that explain the history of these buildings and areas and things that happened in these spots throughout history in Mainz. So here's kind of a random fun fact for you also. The 50th degree parallel line of latitude runs right through Mainz, and there's a line demarking it all the way across the city and ends up leading straight to the front of the Mainzer Dome.
Are supposed to have the biggest carnival parades here in Germany, and we can definitely see evidence of the parade that just happened here in Mainz with confetti all over the streets. All day long we've been seeing signs for Romer Passage, and we keep thinking, where are these cool Roman ruins? That sounds amazing. But we found it. It's just a mall, so not super exciting. But there is a plaque that's showing it is the site of some old Roman ruins. There used to be something here.
So a lot of cities have these types of characters in the walking signs on the streets, but we've never seen this character and we don't know what it is. Can someone explain what this character is in Mainz and what its importance is? Because we've never seen it, we don't know what it is, but it's really cute, we really like it. One thing that we've definitely learned about visiting these types of cities and villages whenever we are traveling throughout Europe is that whenever you look up these places on Google Images and you see all these amazing, beautiful buildings and structures and also just scenery, that a lot of times those are just pockets of cities and villages. The entire place is not going to look like those pictures, so you kind of have to adjust your expectations whenever you're going to go visit one of these places. And unfortunately, a lot of places in Germany are kind of that way because of World War II. And so we like to seek out a lot of those older buildings or places that weren't destroyed during World War II, because you find a lot more of those areas that are a lot bigger rather than just small pockets. Mainz is a little bit like that. There's a lot of pockets that are really, really beautiful, but then a lot of it that's pretty modern built because it was destroyed. At the church that we visited, it also had one plaque that mentioned that 80% of the inner city was destroyed during World War II and during the bombing raids here. So you do get a lot more of those modern constructions here, but I have been surprised in a lot of the old part of the city at how many buildings were said that they were built in the 1400s and then renovated in various points throughout history. So it's been cool still seeing how many places did survive all of history and the wars.
End up going to the museum today, but that's definitely on our list for next time we come. It seemed like it was a really cool museum. Also, along the Rhine, it looks like there are all kinds of neat things to do and to see in other really neat museums. So we have a lot of things we want to do next time we come back to Mainz.
Yeah, so this is the end to our Sunday afternoon in Mainz and checking out this really cool city that, again, we had never heard of until we moved here, but we're so glad that we know about it now. So we hope that you enjoyed seeing this city. Let us know if you know of anything cool in Mainz or other really cool places that we should go check out. You guys have been so helpful doing that so far. Our list is getting extremely long of places that we want to see in Germany. So be sure to subscribe and also like this video if you liked it so that you can see more of these villages and towns that we're going to go visit and also a lot more of our experiences while we live in Germany. We'll see you in our next video.
Cheers!
Supposedly this is where Gutenberg, what's his name?
Johann, how is it?
Johann Gutenberg?
Is Johannes?
Johannes Gutenberg? I'll say Gutenberg.
Yeah.
Okay. This is also a really important historical site because this is supposedly where Gutenheim.
No, Gutenberg.
Okay. And this is. Hey, don't snort.
Gutenberg
Gutenberg
supposedly was baptized here.
This is the supposed baptismal site. Or you? Okay.
We've seen a lot of different. I thought it was rather plain with a lot of, what's the word? I'm losing my word. Cinder block kind of bricks. There were these beautifully carved. People are looking at me. I feel uncomfortable. Mainz is also supposed to have an amazing Fasching parade, kind of like the huge
Carnival.